Hey everybody. If you are as disgusted as I am right now about the situation in our country and you really want to know what the bottom line is, what is going on here, what is the plan, what's the end goal, I have spent a good deal of time, a lot of hours and hours doing research and just countless things to put this together so that I can kind of lay it out for you, all that I've learned so far. And there's a lot more to it than I can talk about right now. But I just want to really emphasize the point that watching this, even though it's longish to the end, is going to be extremely enlightening. And at the end, I'm going to talk about, because you'll feel kind of deflated, but I'm going to talk about what we can do so people aren't just feeling helpless about it. So just hang in there for that. You might want to pause this right here just for a minute. Go get yourself a cup of tea. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. Go get yourself a couple of adult beverage, whatever it takes, and then come right back for it because it's going to be very eye-opening. Don't stop looking yet because you might be going, what in the world am I going to... This is going to break it down, and I'm going to go through it step by step as quickly as I can, but this is really going to break it down for us. It's not going to take that long to go through it and show exactly what we're up against. So I'm going to move in closer, and right here we have Donald Trump and Elon Musk. What we're going to be doing here is connecting the dots. Okay, we have big tech bros from Silicon Valley. What do they have to do with everything? White Christian nationalists. Okay, let's start right there. And of course, Russia and China being, this isn't like supposed to be a map, it's just placeholders. Think about white Christian nationalists as if the KKK and the Westboro Church were to have a baby, there you'd have the white Christian nationalist. They're very much into politics. There were tons of them at January 6th. They're deep into the Heritage Foundation. And when you hear all the talk about Project 2025, I've put there part 1, Project 2025's Heritage Foundation guidebook for the president. Remember when Trump said, I don't even know about that, I don't know. He knows all about it. Did he read it? I would absolutely be shocked if he read it. He just wants the power, and these people are on board to give it to him. So what does that have to do with big tech bros? Well, big tech bros also want all the power, and I'm not telling you all big tech, just enough of them and enough powerful ones to make a huge difference. They donated more than half of all the funds for Trump's campaign. So, at some point, the big tech bros, who are a bunch of very, very wealthy billionaires, Elon Musk is among them, and there are a lot, Peter Thiel, a lot. They had the goal because a lot of them, here's Peter Thiel, if you don't know who he is, PayPal, that'll tell you where he came from. Curtis Yarvin follower. All right, you gotta hang in there because I'm going to put it together. So, what do these two have in common? Well, Elon Musk is connected this way. That marker is not working very well with white Christian nationalists through the commonality of big tech bros. Project 2025. Because Project 2025, white Christian nationalists, big tech bros. That is how they connect. And their common goal is one, and this would sound like if I had heard this months ago, I would have said, there's no way, that is very much, that sounds super conspiracy theory, until I saw it playing out. That's what's playing out before us right now. Okay, so what you have, white Christian nationalists pair up with Project 2025. Russell Vought, I'm not sure. He co-authored Project 2025, and he's the leader of all of it. He's the Office of Management and Budget Director under Trump, and he was the last presidency as well. He authored a lot of Project 2025, and he is putting forth the part 2, because if you're scared of this, what's happening now, we haven't even seen part 2 yet. This is just getting our feet into part 1. All right, so those people come together. Well, how does J.D. Vance fit into it? Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance to be the vice president. J.D. Vance is also he was mentored by Peter Thiel, and he also follows Curtis Yarvin via the introduction through Peter Thiel. And I'm going to tell you who Curtis Yarvin is in a minute if you don't know. But Peter Thiel financed and mentored J.D. Vance to get to the position that he is now. So let's make that connection. And then we can make this connection, because they, not just Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, but there's such a movement among big tech in the followings of Curtis Yarvin. Well, who is he? Well, he was a blogger, aka Mencius Moldbug, and just a philosophy of anti-democracy, saying, people just need to get over their fear of the word dictator. It's not, not a big thing. So his movement is called Dark Enlightenment. And basically, in a nutshell, big tech agrees with that theory, and government needs to be broken, completely broken. That's what we're seeing right now. There's not a big plan. There's no master plan. If it looks like it's being done carelessly, it's not being done. It's very well thought out. But the goal is to completely break it. Okay, that's it. This is RAGE. Under Curtis Yarvin's plan, RAGE is retire all government employees. Does that sound so much like Doge? It should, because that's where this comes from. These things come together here, and I'm sorry about this terrible marker. Doge and RAGE. They're in the process, and I think they didn't put fire all government employees, probably just because, Phage didn't sound as good as RAGE, but that's what's happening. But why are they breaking it? Well, because in order to rebuild it to what they want, which is a CEO type monarch, to be in control of government. In the end goal, after all this, and this would take years to get to the complete point, there would be no Congress, there would be no elections, there would be a CEO monarch, fascist, just call him a tech fascist leader, and we would be all like employees. So all of the programs that they're tearing down, they're not going to come back up. Because what stands in the way of big tech bros and their progress and their wealth? Well, government programs. Elon Musk is so deep into so many different things, and definitely in the government now. But what stands in his way and with his fellow tech bros are regulations. Just think about when you want to start doing something and you want to build a big facility and you want to start testing this or that. Think of SpaceX, whatever it is. What gets in your way? Well, there's environmental protections, and studies have to be done to make sure you're just not destroying the environment. There are regulations regarding your money and how that's being spent, and to make sure that nothing is being that people aren't being taken advantage of. He's starting now on X a new product to compete with PayPal, so you can pay for everything via the X platform. And I think it's just called X Money or something like that. I'm not sure. That's in the works. So we don't need financial institutions and the Security Exchange Commission, and certainly not the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, in the way of that. So that's that connection. Okay, so these people are more billionaires. They were all present, standing proudly behind Donald Trump at the inauguration. Jeff Bezos owns Amazon and the Washington Post. Mark Zuckerberg, of course, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Sundar Pichai, I don't know, Google, and then Apple's Tim Cook. They all stand to benefit from all of these deregulations. But how does this work if you completely break the government? And how exactly does it work for Project 2025 to be in here with big tech bros? Well, Project 2025's points of things they want to have done are exactly in line with so many of these points. This is why this, odd marriage came to be. They also want to break the government, but they want it to be Christian. And as a Christian, I find it so offensive, but basically they want it to be in-your-face Christian. They want a white male patriarchy in charge of everything. And everyone has to follow that, whether they like it or not. And that's how they fit in nicely together. They have mutual goals. There's so much scary in the people they've appointed. Why are all these people being appointed to high positions that are not qualified for these positions? Because in order for this to work, you have to have loyalists in every position, and you have to get rid of watchdogs in every position. That has been happening across the board. You can check that box. That's happened. So this sounds like horrible for our government. What is it going to do to our economy? Well, it's going to destroy it. They're going to break that too. You don't know that yet. They're not saying that part out loud. But in order for us to become completely chaotic and dependent on the government, they have to break our economy. They have to make us even so far as dependent on them for food, because all of the small farmers are going to suffer through the tariffs and everything else that's going on. But they've been buying up land, lots of farmland, particularly Jeff Bezos and other land. They need the land for their cities that they're trying to create, their freedom cities. Donald Trump talks about that. You've probably heard him say it. But, their freedom cities will be where they can do their techie things on their own without any regulation, any oversight, do what they want, when they want, how they want, without regard to any of the fallout or consequences it may have on the people around them or the environment. So at first they would need land, and they've already been getting it in areas. And, in California, they have tried to take over parts of San Francisco. They've been getting a lot of pushback, but they've done this in some other countries, and they definitely need the other countries, because for this to work, for Project 2025 and the Big Tech Bros plan to break government and put in a monarch, you can call it an oligarch, a monarch, a fascist, whatever you want, but that they will lead without the people's, votes. We will be alienated from any of our allies because they're all democratic countries. So to get that ball rolling, as you see, we've been alienating our allies, even our closest ones, like our neighbors, Mexico and Canada. These are more distractions right now to keep your eye off of the ball, but they are affecting things, in a tremendous way, because currently all of Europe wants to get in with the UK, and they want to figure out how they're going to navigate. Like, NATO is not going to be what it was. I'd be shocked if we were still in it in a few months. But for this to work, if you alienate all your allies, what do? Because you don't want to stand completely alone. Well, you need this, because this is in agreement with what you're going to be doing. And you need people like this. Tulsi Gabbard, our Director of National Intelligence. Everything that goes on in intelligence, CIA, FBI, everything that's happening. This lady, okay? definitely always been sympathetic toward Russia and Syria and Snowden. And she's always questioned foreign surveillance and justifies Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So if this person isn't in charge of all of our intelligence, she's going to be very helpful in our relationship here. And then you have Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, former Florida Attorney General. She was one of Trump's personal defense attorneys against all the crap he did last time. She's definitely a huge loyalist. And on day one, you know what she did? Her first day in office, she stopped the surveillance that was going on with Russia and China because she said they needed to focus on more important things like drug czars. So we're not watching the surveillance for their interference anymore. And lots of other task forces that were monitoring things going on throughout the world have already been shut down. They're not doing it. So our national security is at risk. Our economy, I'd be shocked if we weren't in recession by 6 months from now. But these are, I'm not even going to use the marker because it's not working right, but these are the connections, and this is the end goal. This is what has to happen for this to work. So they have to get a cooperative president elected first. Well, they have that in spades. Trump doesn't even know all the stuff that's behind the scenes. He just knows that he wants the power and he wants to keep it. And he wants to get as much money as possible in the process, and this works for him. Control Congress? Check. Spread the disinformation to anger your base and your opposition. Keep us divided? Check. Complete immunity for the president? Check. Control of law enforcement? Well on its way, with Pam Bondi in charge of our major law enforcement and Kash Patel in charge of the FBI. And I can't even go into Kash Patel, but absolutely on board a snake. So there you go. They will have complete control of law enforcement. Deport unfavorable immigrants. Why I say unfavorable? Because in this main plan, as we're all employees, we're only as useful as what we're able to do. So immigrants, they think, no, they're just a leech on society. We need to get them out. We have a common goal of white supremacy. So they're mostly brown people and this and that. So they want them gone. DEI, if you think about it, these are people who are, minorities. So they want all of that gone. That includes women are the biggest part of DEI, and disabled people. So destroy current government. That is happening as we see it happening now. If you vilify and fire government employees, especially the inspector generals, which was done day 2, 3, got rid of all the inspectors general, who are the watchdogs, are the ones that sound the whistle when something's going wrong in one of these agencies. So they're all gone. They're in the process of firing everybody, and they're telling us that they're just leeches on society. They're all DEI hires, and that's a crock. That's just a cover so they can destroy government. Control the military. Well, if you fire the judge advocate generals of each branch of the military, the judge advocate generals are the ones, when an order is received, like say the president hands down an order for something to be done in another country or here, wherever it is, they're the line that tells their prospective branch, Air Force, Navy, Army, yes, you need to act on this, or no, this is unconstitutional and we can't act on this. Well, if they're not there to stop it, it goes right on through. And then you disrupt the Joint Chiefs. We all know how that firing went down and how the Joint Chiefs are now people that will fall in line with the plan. If you defy the Constitution and the court orders, because Congress is completely complicit, so by defying the Constitution and court orders, you no longer have the judiciary branch also, standing in your way from what you want to do. So you're going to have to violate things. So whenever they're getting injunctions, temporary restraining orders, and they're dancing around that, they're just kind of flirting with it right now. Not too much full on blatant, but some. Then that disrupts and lets them go as far as they want, because the Supreme Court gave Trump complete free reign. Do what you want, tear it up. Remove regulations, the EPA, the FDA, the National Labor Relations Board, the Security Exchange Commission, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, etc. All of these things stand in the way of big tech bros, okay? We just talked about that. All of those things. Now you put Elon Musk in there with the direct, he's gotten billions and billions in government contracts through the Department of Defense, hundreds of millions through Tesla in subsidies, and also, look it up, Tesla pays zero taxes. You know, they're one of those people that just dodges it. So you and I pay more taxes than Elon Musk does. But he still has these pesky things in his way. Like he had something like more than 20 in Brownsville, Texas, EPA violations for SpaceX. The FDA was investigating him for Neuralink, the chip in the brain that he's trying to come out with. They were being investigated for mistreatment of animals. The National Labor Relations Board was investigating on various counts, including an electrocuted employee at, I believe it was at X, and there were a lot of different cases brought before about really unjust things happening to the employees. So he was getting violations and looked at. And then also USAID, you know, the first thing to go that was so horrible and they made it sound terrible. Well, they were looking at Starlink because Elon Musk's Starlink terminals that are in Ukraine, well, USAID bought them and they were inspecting them to make sure that they were being used for the purpose to which they were supposed to be. And he didn't want that. And then, of course, the Security Exchange Commission, you know, these are all financial roadblocks. If you're starting a new payment company, like to compete with PayPal, you don't want the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau in your way, telling you that you can't do this and that you can't do that. You can't sell people's private information. You can't overcharge them and hide fees. These branches get in the way. And not only, I mean, we're not even scratching to the surface as to all the information he's gotten on every one of us and every one of his competitors. I mean, if you are starting a payment business, you definitely want to get into the CFPB because you can see everything that your competitors have. All right, now appoint loyalists in all leadership positions. Check. Attack and silence the opposing media. Well, we're attacking NPR. They're after PBS. They've put the AP, which has been in, you know, top positions since the late 1800s, out of the White House. So that's well on its way. Attack the programs that help poor and elderly. See, poor, elderly, and handicapped people are not going to be favorable employees. So we're going to be getting rid of a lot of those programs, and we don't care about those people. Ally with dictators, because this is going to give you more money and power. Russian oligarchs have they have trillions of dollars in offshore accounts. And so we would want, you know, if this is what we're for, we want to be buddies with them. And this was never so clear as the gold card for $5 million, buying your way in. And when a reporter asked, would that include a Russian oligarch? Trump said yes. So you don't even have to go to Russia to deal with them. We can just bring them right on in. So when all of this, as it's happening now, it's going to result eventually in some mass protests. And then once those mass protests get well underway, they'll be sending in the J6ers, Proud Boys, KKK, White Christian Nationalists, all the same players from J6 and more. And then when they come up against those of us who are protesting, they're going to try to start violence because then we can declare martial law and totally control all citizens. It's mandatory that they stay in power. Everything will be done to make sure that that happens. And the acquisition of land for their freedom cities and network cities. You know, think about Greenland and Gaza. Public land, Trump has mentioned that we have a lot of public land. We should use it for freedom cities. People don't even know what that means, but that's what it means. Canada, question mark. I think that's more of a distraction too. But they will definitely be looking for land. Who knows? Maybe in the deal with Russia, because it's certainly not helping Ukraine, maybe there's some land coming in too. I don't know. But this is what we're up against. And please, please, please watch the video after this. This lady has done a tremendous job in putting together this video that explains this so well. And at the end, I'm going to come in and tell you what to do. So if you need to take a break, but please watch that because she does a fantastic job in pulling all of this together for you. All right, if you've made it this far, I know that was a lot. So I've decided to do a part 1 and 2. So where I said stay for the video, I'm going to do that as a part 2. So watch for that later. I think we can only digest so much at a time. But to leave you feeling less deflated, there are things we can do. We can still protest, and I think that's important, very important now. But it's just critical that it stays nonviolent, it has to be peaceful protests. And I don't think we've reached the point yet where we're going to start encountering people trying to instigate trouble, with us. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can start a petition for local or on a national level for various things. There's actually 2 going around. I started one not realizing there was one because everyone was asking for it, to revoke Elon Musk's citizenship. So those are both on change.org, and sign the petition. You can call your local Congress people, your senators and your reps, and let them know, call or go to their site where you can contact an email, get a group together and show up. If you're in a town where they have, where your reps and stuff, they have an office there, and, go there. There's nothing wrong with, you can't just barge in, but we're peaceful. You can stand there and hold your signs and speak your mind. If you're having a town hall in your area, some of them are doing that we've seen. I don't know if you've seen, but there's been a lot of kickback because people are really rising up. I think one of the reasons that people feel kind of outnumbered, that's it. They feel outnumbered because they're like, how did half the country vote for this? Well, keep in mind that they did not. First of all, they did not. All right, 244 million people were eligible to vote in this election. Trump got like 77 million votes. Kamala got 75 million. His was 77 point something, hers was point something, but that was a very close election, so it was not a great number. And when you consider that 90 million people did not vote at all because I don't know why they couldn't decide, but we cannot assume 90 million people are in that camp when his base is falling off right now. I'm just watching video after video of upset people, about the veterans and about the treatment of President Zelensky and all that. So even there's always radicals. So the radicals are going to be your loudest. When you see feeds and you see, hateful comments, and there's so many of them, keep in mind that they are not the majority. I did my own little post where I shared Elon Musk's revoke his citizenship. And that's in my area. And I'm in a super red state. I'm in Texas. So, and that was, I promoted it out from a page that I have on Facebook called What Is Happening. And the likes and the loves so vastly outnumber the angry faces and the, laughy faces. So we're not outnumbered. Keep that in mind. And this is a long game plan to get to that end goal. They have this planned out for years. I don't even know that they expect that Donald Trump will still be alive by the time they get to their goal. They're just hitting us so hard and so fast right now because they need to do as much as they can, as fast as they can before we all catch up. So do what you can, all right? And look for that next video. And then I'll do a whole other one on how we can make sure this doesn't happen again, because the simple fact is the reason it happens at all is because billionaires, regardless of whether they're donating to Democrats or Republicans, have way too much control there. We need some very comprehensive campaign finance reform. And we'll talk about that later, but the people need to demand it on both sides. And we can keep ourselves from ending up in a position like this in the future. So thank you for watching. I know that was deflating. I'm sorry about it. I'm very sorry about it myself, but I'm just trying to keep you informed here, and I really appreciate it. Just look out for that video where it's really just going to be a compilation of some others that I've watched that are really better than me at explaining a lot of this, and I hope you were able to follow that. I did my best.